Hey, what's going on? Sorry I'm late, but I was caught up in a war on Facebook in comments, which is never a good place to debate because you can never convince anyone through a comment, whether that's on YouTube or Facebook. Anyways, I'm annoyed. This guy showed up and we were battling our ideas on Facebook, and it's so annoying because you get like this big of a comment, then you try to refute him, you research, you respond, and then he does the same thing, and you never agree on anything. So I just said it's pointless, yeah, and I know it's pointless. So I just wasted time. That's why I'm late. That's why I'm 9 minutes late. But thank you if somebody's watching. Um, yeah, I'm doing a live stream after a few weeks, so it's been a while. I've been on the road, I've been outside, I've been enjoying the summer, enjoying this dunya a bit, uh, just to check it out, what's up with the dunya. So if you are watching this, let me know in the comment section where you're from, what's going on, what's the weather like, how's your life going? And we can talk about a topic today, which is kind of general. What's wrong with our societies, right? But that was something that came in my mind. Maybe before that, maybe before we jump into that, um, if you are from Malaysia, if you live in Malaysia, somewhere in Malaysia, let me know because I will probably move to Malaysia since January. Oh, my hair is messed up. Since January, I'll move to Malaysia for 3 months with my wife, and we'll come back in like April, inshallah. But that's our plan now. So if you know someone from Malaysia, or if you are from Malaysia, let us know what's like a cool small town near beach or near ocean to live at, where there's also Islam and mosques, but also like a town. We don't want to live in Kuala Lumpur. Anyways, salam alaikum, Phil. What's going on? Berat, salam alaikum from Istanbul. I've been to Istanbul a few weeks ago. It's windy, yeah. It's which part of Istanbul are you from? I know all Istanbul. No, I don't. But yeah, let me know. Istanbul is the coolest place that I know in Europe. That's like really big city. Anyways, thank you guys for showing up. When it comes to my content, there's so many things that's been happening in my life recently that I just couldn't get to do the live stream. Salam alaikum, Z, Sean. Um, I'm thinking of Dawa here in Slovakia, Czech Republic. We organized the first debate. It's gonna be on YouTube soon with the subtitles. Um, I'm trying to also try to memorize Surah class today. It's pretty cool. I'm trying to, just stay on the straight path, which is never easy. It's always a challenge. It's always a reminder. And yeah, I've been hiking and doing a lot of things. I'm also like every week going somewhere outside. Outside of the city or the country to explore. So it's quite busy, and I was, not sure that I can. Asian side from Pendik, if you've heard. Okay, sounds good. Sounds cool. I'll check it out. Pendik in Istanbul. No, I haven't, but I've been to Asian side. It's pretty advanced. It's pretty like modern. I like it a lot. Anyways, thank you guys, and let's talk about this because why am I holding it up? So the first thing that I want to mention. So what's wrong with our society today? And I think this is true for anyone. You don't have to be Muslim to watching this or non-Muslim, whoever. The first thing we don't really, I think about, and I think it's very crucial, is the reality of this world. And just simple, I'm not talking in some metaphysical or spiritual reality, but simply put, this world, this planet Earth, we live in a blue ball. Like you're in Istanbul, you're in UK or somewhere. Just look outside. I see blue sky. It's really nice weather actually. But what's behind that blue sky? What is there? Well, it's space. It's the universe. And I think it's just people just live their life. Like they just go home, they go to work, they go to buy some stuff at shop, and they tend to forget. I need to cut my hair. And they tend to forget that they live in a blue ball. And you have different explanations. What is this blue ball, this planet Earth? But regardless of what you think, whether you think it's random, evolution, whatever, Big Bang, and this is just like nothing, or you believe there's a God or a creator or whatever, it doesn't change the fact that we both, Muslims, Christians, or non-Muslims, atheists, live life in this world like we don't actually believe our concept. Like if you actually believed in God, when you go outside, you wouldn't like be thinking of like these petty things, but we tend to get caught up, and that's normal for everybody. Even Muslims forget that they are Muslim at some point. Like you play football, or you get caught up playing video game, or I don't know, you can't reflect forever. So you can't be in the state of reflection forever, because you would never be able to enjoy the current moment. So like you sometimes have to work, or you sometimes have to drive, or I don't know, there's a music you listen to, or whatever you're doing. Like sometimes you're out of this dunya for a while, out of this world for a few hours, and then you have to go back. So whether you're a Muslim, you pray, or Christian, you hear the bells, you realize, oh, this is just a test. Or an atheist, what do? They basically, I don't know, they just get depressed and realize, like, wait a second, I was enjoying my life, but then I realized it's all pointless. So anyways, you always get back to that initial state of what's your worldview? What actually do you believe in? So everybody has a different worldview, but no one lives according to it. No one. Atheists, Muslims, Christians, we don't live according to our worldview. We try to live according to it, but we never fully get there. Like you can never be 100% Muslim everywhere. You always forget, at least in few situations. You always get like tens or something, and it's normal. But that's the thing, like we forget. Both all these groups forget that there's a blue ball, we live in it, there's some sky, and what's happening? Why are we here? What is the purpose of this life? Like I'm watching a TV show now, and this is maybe haram, I don't know, so don't go watch it if I mention something. Like I'm not an educated guy, but I'm watching a show about lawyers. It's called Suits, and I've been watching that for a while, and basically it's like a very good show about the corporate America and like how the business is done. And I don't know, I just like the show. But basically they are all caught up in their world, their little careers, their little whatever, and they tend to forget. Like whenever there's a tragedy or somebody dies or something happens in the show, it's like really traumatic, but they like forget. They don't want to admit that they live in this reality. They just want to focus on their own world, their own kind of thing. Like I'm gonna become the best lawyer in the city, but what then? I'm gonna be like that, and they just spend everything, every day, every hour of their life achieving that goal. And maybe that's the same for you. Maybe you're thinking right now in this second, you're thinking, I want to be a doctor, or you're maybe at the university and you're thinking, once I get a degree, finally, man. Or maybe you're entering a workforce and you're getting a first job and you're like, oh man, this is exciting. Or you're going somewhere and you're like, you caught up in the dunya, like you are. No, there's no way you're not. And then you will get a big reality check. None of these things is gonna do anything for you. Like I've went through all this. I was excited to get to university. I felt like that's the best thing that ever happened to me. I was excited to live in the US. I was excited when I got the first full-time job before anybody in my school. I was actually working full-time and I was studying as well. I was like finishing my state examination while I was working. And then I remember when I started my business and I got the first client, I was excited. And I remember when my business grew, like really took off, I was very excited. I remember, all these things, like, man, I'm getting something. And actually, what is it? What am I doing? Nothing. So I don't know what I'm saying, but basically the point is we forget we live in this blue ball, in this dunya. Um, and I don't know, it's just so crucial to remind us ourselves of why are we actually here and what are we doing here. So what do you think about that? Let me know. I would love to hear some of your comments. Let me just look at some. And yeah, it's very crucial because people live like they're very ignorant. Like they just want to go to team building, get drunk, or they just want to, I don't know, build some software and sell it or something like that. But this is like such a short-term thinking. Like I don't know what happened in the society that we programmed our kids or our society that yes, success is a certain amount of money, a certain whatever freedom. But how, like logically speaking, if you are 65 years old and you have $1 million in the bank account, you can have all freedom you want. You're 65, you're gonna die soon. So all that freedom is pointless. You wasted your life working for someone. You wasted your time, and time is the only thing you have in this world. Time is the only currency. So I'm actually not selling anything in my company. I'm selling time, but I'm selling because I know time is the most valuable resource we have. It's not a commodity. And you sold that. So subhanallah. So all these things are useless. They are not useless. They have a purpose, and you have to have work and work on it. But there's something missing, right? So we have to always come back to the blue ball. And the blue ball, if you're an atheist and it makes sense to you that the universe was created by the Big Bang, and it was random, or there was nothing that created some, or there's multiverse or string theories, hey, go ahead, do that. But live with that knowledge every day and come back to it, because it will come and haunt you again and again. Because you will realize at some point, like, what is this? What is this life that I'm living? And these questions are very interesting to just ponder over life. Like, usually we are in life, so usually you are doing dishes, or you're playing a FIFA or game, or you're watching a movie or doing something. But sometimes to just kind of stop and just think about, like, what is actually life? Isn't that interesting? That's what I like to do. Anyways, salam alaikum, salam alaikum. Same in Poland, a nice blue sky outside. Nice. Wait, Polish. Dzień dobry. Life's what we make it. It's a matter of perspective. We have existence and should be grateful. Cut all the bias and you will know God. Yeah, but that's pretty difficult to do. Cut all the bias. Biases. All right, let me read one more. Same, do dicker, remembering God, and some seek liquor. Hey, that's a good rhyme. Do dicker and some seek liquor. Abdulaziz. Yeah. So dicker, definitely. Salats, prayers, stuff like that. But I'm not talking really religiously right now. I'm just talking about the reality of this world. So even if you're a non-Muslim, how do you remember the blue ball? Because you live your life not looking always like, hey, I'm in this blue ball, but you have to like realize, like, hey man, I'm right now floating in the space, but I tend to ignore the fact that this is happening. And then what happens? Look at our political system, or look at the discussions generally in society. Do we always talk about, like, hey, what do you think is the blue ball? What do you think happens? What's the purpose of our life? Or in the politics, when we look at political system, maybe that's different in your country or something, but like generally speaking, we tend to talk about a few things. First of all, highways. We need to repair highways. We need to make more highways. Taxes. Yes, taxes. We'll get to this point when we lower the taxes or something. Another thing, I don't know, migration or whatever. And we're doing these like political issues. No one ever debates like, hey, how about we do a law? Like, what about we discuss like, what's the purpose of our life? Like, no politician will ever say this, because it's not a place for them. Of course, they have to run societies. But the most important question for every human being, individually speaking, family speaking, or like on a societal level, is like, where are we heading as a society? What is our goal as a purpose? And of course, Islam provides that for you. Of course, individually, it provides it on a society level, it provides it on the country level, on the overall dunya level. But if you don't have that, it's kind of pointless. And but even in Islamic countries, they don't question this, and they should. Like, we should be thinking all the time about this. And I don't know, am I crazy? But that's kind of how I think about this. Like, always, always, like, sometimes pondering about, like, what is this blue ball? Anyways, let me look at some other things. It should be less about belief, more about what Hamza calls the RT as the real-time strategy intuition. We are part of MPRG, and there is certain meant to be as to how we live our lives. It's pretty in-depth. Sinus 32. God bless Slovakia with great Slavic food, so let's be happy. Polish food is very similar. That's strange comment, but yeah, that's true. We have great food. Actually, today I had halushki, which is like a goat cheese that we have in Slovakia. It was really delicious. So I guess you have the same thing in Poland. Anyways, yeah, true that. So the first point is the blue ball. Let me just go through the comments again, because I'm a bit lost. Can you not have success in this world and be spiritual as well? To struggle financially takes so much of your thought as well. I have been in both situations. Can you not have success in this world and be spiritual? Of course. I mean, most people in like some poor countries, they are not very, I would say, financially well off, but spiritually, I think they're pretty cool. So, what would you actually prefer? I think, yeah, definitely, as a perspective of a Muslim, should be the spiritual before the worldly pursuit of success. But as a person like living, I think you can have both. I think you can have success within the realms of, if you're a Muslim, Islam, if or a Christian, whatever. So yeah, so for me right now, I'm investing. Of course, I can't invest in stocks or bonds or these things because they have riba, they are haram. So I have to look for another alternative ways to invest in startups. I can invest in equity, I can invest in homes, in buildings, real estate, but it's pretty a bit more difficult. But hey, that's the real. That's the what's the what's the word I'm looking for? Those are the boundaries, regulations within my framework of the worldview, and I'm happy with that. I don't need billions of dollars, but I think you can have success and have spiritual success, because if you have success materially speaking in this dunya and you don't have spirituality, it's all wasted. Like you already know that. So as a Muslim, you definitely should have the spirituality figured out before the success. But yeah, if you are stressing about financing this all the time, that's unhealthy. And I know, because for 2 or 3 years I've been like broke, like a few years back. So I know how crazy that can be. Like every time just thinking about if I'm gonna pay the rent, if I'm gonna do that, um, you know, that's something you have to figure out. Like you have the power to change that. So with the help of Allah. So it's not unchangeable. The big problem in our society is that we don't remember death often enough. There is a reason it's called destroyer of desires, pondering upon death loss. Man, that's hitting it right there, Zishan, because of course that was the reason why I also chose Islam. Because, well, it wasn't the reason why I chose Islam, but it was the first kind of interest, because I used to think about death all the time. And as an atheist, it's very depressing to think, your consciousness will end, and then what? Like, what is the next step? There's nothing. Well, what am I doing here then? And death, yeah, definitely. But the deal is, actually, just a few days ago, this Czech influencer, here's a Czech Republic where I live, and this is the most atheistic country in the world, so nobody even believes in God here. It's like nonsense. And this Czech girl that I know, she's like a blogger, and her grandmother died. So she was writing about it on her blog, and she said like very interesting things. She said like, most of us prepare so much for our career or so much for this future, yet we don't realize that we will die. And I'm so crushed by my grandmother's death. Like I didn't realize it's gonna happen, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, finally she's getting somewhere. And then at the end she said like her boyfriend is Catholic, and he told her that there's heaven and hell, and she's doing research on what happens when she dies, when you die. And she was quoting philosophers like Seneca to remember your death. There's a bunch of philosophers who had their own, maybe this was even before revelations of Christianity, of the Gospels and everything. So they had their idea of God, and they claimed, like you have to remember death. And she was finding that like, oh, okay, so and it was like a newsflash, you're gonna die. Like what? How did you not know about this? Why are you not preparing for it? But in this world, this is all pointless questioning, because there is nothing after you die. So you see, people don't want to remember that. It's very difficult to get them to that realization. I had a guy who's like 15, and his grandfather died as well. That's why he's started to pray, and he wants to do shahada and stuff. He's from Slovakia. He was asking about death. So that's death for sure, for sure. Death you can't escape. So that's the thing. Like with that, like you can have whatever worldview you want, but you will forever know you will die. You can be an atheist. Everybody agrees to that. So it's unhealthy to not think about it a lot. Um, but yeah, that's why it's that's a blessing to be a Muslim, to have this question kind of figured out. And it creates a lot of anxiety, definitely. So it goes hand in hand. What is this world? What is this blue ball I'm in? What happens when I die? What's the reason I'm here? Am I here to work in the McDonald's and study at the university? What is the purpose of my existence? Just basic stuff people don't want to ask. Like whenever you start a business, you need to have a vision, right? So you're starting a business and you need to have a vision of like, what's the revenue you want, what sort of company you want to build. Okay, got it. Whenever you go to school, you need to have a plan. What is my plan? What am I going to do here? What sort of credit system am I going to use to achieve this certification or whatever diploma you're pursuing? Everybody tells you that, like, you need to have a vision and plan for this, and then you need to have a vision for your life. No, like, there are these motivational coaches, but they give you just the success of this world. So they only focus on like the money, or like you need this, or relationships, but they don't really give you that spiritual fulfillment, because they don't know, they don't have revelation, they don't know what's happening, and they can't deal with concepts like death, life, universe. So you end up like, okay, what's going on here? And so you end up in the situation where you might want to kill yourself, because the thing is, like, no one can help you. And then you realize, oh, the answer was all there. It's religion. Let me just look into that, because no one else seems to know anything about this world, and that's what it is. So it's pretty difficult. But yeah, that's what I think. Death. So definitely death. That's a good point. Alan Watts, Rip, spoke of this. Literally, linearly dragged through education and a career, and then you face the end. You have to create meaningful moment for yourself. Yeah, I like listening to Alan Watts. He is a philosopher. He's not Muslim or nothing, but he had great strains of thoughts. Pretty cool stuff. Vicar is pronounced vicar, I think. Yeah. I'm sorry. Once you have a certain level of wealth, your mind can then turn to issues. Why are we are here? It happened to me, and only Islam comes anywhere near to answer I craved. Yeah. Yeah, if you are stressed enough, you won't be really looking to that. You will need to take care of your needs. So you have a hierarchy of needs. I'm sure you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the first need is like safety, shelter, food, drink. The second need is like sex, partners, whatever, family. Then another need is like recognition, society, career, professional, like working. Okay. And then once you achieve those, which every human at some point, if you're not like a homeless person, but you can take care of yourself, you have some like basics figure out, then you're like, there's the one need that everybody needs, transcendental need or spiritual need, and that can only be achieved through whatever you can imagine under that. So that's the need we're working with, and that's the most important one, but you can't get there if you don't have these figured out, of course. If you live as an MPRG, you don't see wrong and right. What is MPRG? Let me know, because I'm a bit confused there. Yeah, the mere fact that we aren't this necessary being should raise up the question of what we are doing here on Earth. But unfortunately, some people board the train without the destination. Yeah, most people, not some, most people, they don't want to even think about this. And it's fine. But it's kind of unfortunate, because when you have this perspective, isn't it like you are awakened from a dream? Like, you're always looking at like, what is this? Just every time you feel a desire, you kind of like go back to realize like, what is the ultimate purpose of your existence? And your brain will never stop until you figure it out. So whether you need to do you need to be a Muslim, a Christian, or you have to have an answer to this. So you need to become a militant atheist then, because you need an answer. You can't have like, I don't know, because that will create a lot of confusion in your life. Ton of depression, ton of therapies, because you won't be able to answer the basics of your life. Like, something, I'm feeling anxiety. What is this about? Like, just talk to Allah. Go to Salat. But basically, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, and then you look at people and you see like how many people died, like overall, like how many people die at war or just died from COVID, like millions, and you just realize like, oh, I'm just like nothing here, like one speck of dust. So you need the answer. As for the blue ball, you have free will with which to determine within reason a course of action take a given issue. You can use free will to realize predetermination. Yeah, you must have a free will, because only through free will you basically grow in spirituality. Otherwise you can't. It's impossible. But yeah, free will is an interesting concept because it goes hand in hand with the faith, or like predestination, and both of them are at the same, going as along the same road. So everything already happened, Allah already knows everything, but you can actually make choices during the war the this dunya, this time in this world, but it already happened. It's already predetermined. So it's not like you're doing something that has already been fated. You have billions of options, but you're picking one of them, and since Allah is all knowing, you will always arrive at the destination which he, because there is no timing from his perspective. So there is a free will, but Allah already knows what you're gonna choose. But there is free will, you can still choose. So uh, it's not like imaginary choice. You really have a free will, and that's good. Multiplayer role. Oh, MPRG, because you said MRPG, I think. Anyways, also succession work hard and pray when it times. I'm sure Branson and Gates would give up all their wealth to be 17 again. This is precious commodity, much more than wealth. um, I don't know. If I was like 70, I don't know if I would want to live again from the 15 or 17. I think what they would give wealth away for is the la ilaha illallah. Like that's what they would give wealth for, like just to know what happens when you die. Since I think that would be enough for them, but they are not probably gonna get there. Maybe they've studied Islam, I don't know, but I don't think so. I don't think many people go through life studying this, because it sort of changes everything. It's not like you're detached from this world and you no longer care about this world, but you tend to take everything with a grain of salt, and you already know it's all planned accordingly. So um, you know everything becomes like sort of I don't know, you're more calm, more peaceful. I don't know if these guys could get there. Would you say it's best to be religious of any creed than to be an atheist? I mean, that's a weird question, right? Because of course, I've been both. So, what do you want to do with your life? That's the question. Like, I think the question doesn't make sense. Like, what is the best? Like, that's irrelevant. What's the best? What is the truth? That's what I wanted to know. Like, what's the truth? And that's what I'm going to change my life towards the truth. But I need to know, is the universe created by itself? Did the universe, was there multiverse? Like, how did this happen? And so when I find out the truth, which is, hey, there's a cause of causes, Allah, who created everything, then I'm going to submit to the creator. Simple as that. So I'm not doing whatever is the best, because I would much prefer to go out, drink, and do all the things without any consequence and do all that. But I know it's not healthy for me, and I know it's not according with my fitra and everything, and I feel the difference, of course. But my desires, if left unchecked, would be crazy, because they were crazy in the past. So it's all about what's the truth, not what's the best, because people don't know what's the best for them comes. Let's get to the core of the topic. What do you see as being core problems in Slovakia, Czech? I can then talk about Poland, Scotland. Well, in Czech and Slovakia, it's a bit different. Slovakia has a lot of Christians. Core problems in a society, just close-mindedness of people. People are close-minded. Like people in France or Western Europe, they have open minds because they interact with a lot of cultures, and these are open societies, which is not great. I'm not advocating to have an open society where everybody can come and live. It's not. I don't think it creates a good like base, because it creates. It's much easier for a society to be homogeneous. So let's say you have Malaysia, which should be full of Malaysians, and then of course people from Indonesia and other parts, but still majority should be the country of origin. So I think yeah, those countries are much more open because they they have much more. They saw other people, and they are not afraid of Islam or not afraid to interact with Muslims because they've been there. But with Slovakia, it's very close-minded. People are very like close-minded. All they want to do is to just go to work to Germany in a factory, then come back, build a house, and just kind of live in my own house and have like a motorcycle, and that's it. Like that's all their dream about. They're very small-minded people, Slovaks. We don't like really get like crazy ambitions, right? We are very small-minded. And hey, maybe some Slovaks are watching it, they're annoyed, but this is the truth. Like our nation is not a great nation. We haven't produced best people in the world. We are kind of happy to just be left alone and don't talk to us, and we just want to have a house, and that's it. So it's a small-mindedness. Czechs are not small-minded, but they are like strange strange people. Like I don't know, they just pretend to be happy and just ha 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 all the time, but deep down they're like very depressed, I guess, from the because they are like all atheists, and they are much more open, and but much more also involved in you know the desires of this world and in the unhealthy aspects, so they don't have much religion here. um, that's why Czech is like the capital of porn, the capital of all these things. So I don't think it's great as well. I don't think it's a different problem. But both countries are similar because they are like very small. They have similar problems. But I think Islam can help both. They need help because like people are like all my friends before like 2 years ago when I worked in a co-working center or I had an office and I met people, they are all like fine or happy on the surface, like ha 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 ha. And then when we get deeper, just a bit deeper, like we were in a bar drinking or something back in my jahiliya, but we were just talking about like what's the purpose of life, like like these things, and everybody's just like no, I don't know, I don't know, and we just kind of go back and forth, and like everybody's kind of miserable under the hood, but they pretend to that everything's fine, this is great. It's not a pretentious pretending like Americans, like hey, they are like they will let you know that this is not good, but they have this face of like mm, nothing matters. Anyways, that's my opinion. Tell me about Poland. I think Polish are. I know Polish. I have a lot of, not a lot, but I know some Polish friends. Um, mm, mm, mm. Phil, your questions are sometimes like really strange. It's depressing to think of those people who will be punished for sins in this life. You don't know that. Like you don't know how many people will be punished. Small number make Jenna, and you're asking me if it's not a failed experiment. Like how am I supposed to answer that? Like I'm sorry, but like some questions are not to me. I don't know how to answer these things, right? First of all, you don't know who will be judged how. You have no idea. So Christians could maybe enter in Jannah, like even atheists, if they haven't been exposed to Islam, because they need to be exposed to the message. So like there's so many variables in this. Like I'm not gonna even go into this question, but uh, Muslims can be in Jahannam if they have been doing sins and they haven't been the tawbah. So there's so many things. um, I think a small number will enter Jannah regardless of that, because you need to be on the straight path. So your behavior should be aligned with the core message of Tawheed, or of God's message, whether you were following him in the Jewish times with Moses or Jesus, or now you need to be following the straight path. Well, however you're doing that, it's fine, but I don't think many people are. So that's why Jannah I don't think it's gonna be very full, but I don't know, I don't want to say anything about that. So I often say life is levels and layers, and God sees only perfection. It is us who see imperfections through judgment and bias. It comes from social conditioning. True, true that. Notice that some people would rather stay distracted and face reality of why we are here. Of course. Well, the thing is, it's actually impossible to just be like not thinking about anything. You always have to do something. So when you're not thinking about these big questions, you will go and play a video game or do something because your brain needs to do something. So it doesn't, you can't not do anything. So that's right. I think for sure people are being distracted. Uh, how do you know that aqua crystal? Because any sort of things that you are reading in this, take it with a grain of salt, please, because I don't know where you're getting these numbers. If it's some hadith or something, I don't want to judge Poland, but of their own admission, they are provincial. They are growing through contact with foreigners, but conservative mindset. Yeah, I agree. Polish are very, very conservative. Uh, Life is relative, and to judge a nation beyond standard is rather foolish. Many Poles are indifferent and will get on with your life. Yeah, true. All right, guys. I think we're getting into discussion about stuff that is nothing. We should ask the scholars. We shouldn't debate these things, like who will be in Jenna and stuff. Uh, the Hadith, like it's. I don't care. It's from the Hadith. You need to like anytime you're saying something like that, you need to say a specific number of hadith or whatever, the specific hadith. And this is not a stream about that, right? And uh, yeah, I think we will have a basically a fight in the comments or something like that. And we would need a scholar to explain this because we need to make sense of why is everybody going to Jahannam now? Like, what does it make sense? So we need to make sense of it, and there's no one who can make sense of it now in this chat. So I want to avoid this topic if possible, but um, that's why we need to talk about things which are like which we're qualified to. So like basic stuff about Islam is fine, but whenever we get into this advanced stuff, like what is this? Like some hadiths, like have you studied this? Like do you have a degree? Like I'm not sure what's happening. Uh, what was your original intention with the thread? What sort of thread are you talking about? Are you talking about discussion, right? So just the societies, right? Not hell or hellfire, but just societies. Basically, why are people not conscious of the blue ball concept that I was describing, death, as we talked about, and forgetting why we're here? So I think those are pretty important stuff. And yeah, I think this is something that I came up with. I mean, to be honest, it's pretty difficult to figure out the topic to discuss on a live stream because many of them are like very general and they get into these discussions, and of course it can get very deep. But let me know what sort of questions do you have. If you have any, write them in the comment, and I'd be happy to give you my 2 cents on anything, because I think we pretty much went through also like people don't realize there's a blue ball. So they don't really, both Muslims, non-Muslims, Christians, they don't realize that we live in this dunya. They live their life not according to that knowledge, and then they get reminded of it, of course. But we forget why we're here for sure. We get caught up with car, with the school or whatever, our career. We forget what's important, and then we forget our death. So I think those are the key lessons to take. Anything above that, let me know. What sort of questions do you have? We can have a chat, and yeah, and get ready for the week, because a new week is coming, and it's September already, right? Isn't that crazy? The whole summer went by and it's already September. So in 2 or 3 months we're gonna have a winter. Yeah, and we're gonna have a new Ramadan soon, inshallah, maybe. Uh, how's your project of Islam awareness going in? So yeah, that's a good question. I have a Dawa plan that I've created. I've mapped out all the institutes and all the mosques and stuff and created different roles for everybody. I've realized it's impossible to unify everybody, so we just have to kind of have a small group of local Muslims, start doing these sort of meetups and discussions and stuff. But the key that I'm working on right now, which is very interesting, is before doing anything specifically related to Islam, I'm mapping out the contingency arguments and Kalam cosmological arguments and all these things, and I'm really going through deeply through them, um, and I'm practicing them a lot. At least I intend to as well, because I want to be able to argue for the existence of God before I establish anything about Islam. Because people don't really, the themes of Islam, like why do women cover, why does this, those are very not interesting for anyone. So I just want to become more skilled and create a form or a manual for people and for other people here, because no one has this kind of intellectual approach to Islam. Many people rely on the revelation, the Quran, and stuff, and that's good. But I think it's too deep. I think we need to we need to talk with people in their language. So I'm mapping out this manual with all the possible answers, objections, and stuff, and then I practice it and I plan to teach it as well, so that we create a group of people who will be able to share this, and then we can, do the other stuff. So that's something I'm working on. It's very difficult to map out these arguments and become good at them. um, it's not for everybody. I'm not even sure I'm gonna do it, but I'm mapping them out. That's my work. So the next step, and we have a we have a meeting in next week, I think, in Slovakia, like a group of people. What to do? What do we want? Like a vision for the country. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's a huge release. If you have experience partially good at it, can be scary, but you can draw something from such experiences. Uh, it depends. Like, what do you? Well, I mean, dying itself, I don't think that's really scary. The problem is actual death, as you said, like being like not in this world anymore, and so that is very scary for many people. But it depends what's your perspective, and for me, I just I think I know, based on this and based on Islam, what's gonna happen, and we'll just see. We'll see what's gonna happen. What advice can you give for giving that to people who don't care about Islam? This is a crazy question, yeah, because like I think everybody is like that. Like many people don't care about Islam. Many people, like, it's the same question as you would give to, like, let's imagine there's a Mormon. A Mormon is a Christian sect. Mormonism is a Christian sect of in the U.S. And let's say these Mormons come to Islamic country like Saudi Arabia, and they go and try to convince people to come and do Mormonism. How are they gonna do it? Like, what? People don't care about Mormonism at all. Same thing here. People don't care about Islam. So dawah cannot be about Islam because people don't care about it, or they have these barriers of negative things. So I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea how to do it. I don't know. I think this will take us years to figure out, because most people don't care. Most people don't even want to question these things, as we discussed. What is this reality? Who was the reason for my existence? So talking about Islam is way too advanced. And then, so that's why I think this bridge of Kalam, cosmological arguments, and all that can be a good way to do it. And just kind of going to different groups of people and presenting it to them, maybe under the umbrella of something else, but not Islam, but just giving them the idea and openness that there might be something beyond, then it could make sense. But it's very difficult. I have no idea if it's going to work, because essentially the guidance is from Allah. So we can only share the message, and I have no idea how to do it, to be honest. Um, it's pretty tough. Yeah, walking people's nature is more important than debating them to tap out. Of course, yeah. Like, I wouldn't be convinced if you debated me. I just saw how Khabib was acting. what Mike Tyson is doing, and just looking at people's conduct, looking how people pray, and all these things, they interest you. But getting into reading a Quran, it took me months, or reading the actual message, like what is actually Islam saying about the day of judgment and all these. That took me months to research. I had to be slowly warmed up to it. So there's no debating possible, I think. Uh, I that's possible, but again, I think it's too deep. Because again, I was interested in what's the purpose of life after I saw how good is conducted, how someone is conducted. After I watched the documentary, after I saw the family life, after I saw like some basics, I was like, so what's the purpose? And that's when you ask it. If I come to somebody on the street and say, hey, what's the purpose of life? It's a bit hardcore. I don't think this will work, with many people, because yeah, people don't want to know about the purpose of life, or like it's random guy asking me about that. So but how do you do that on scale? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I think this is very difficult. I think you can do it locally, so I can be like a good example for some local. If I live in a small town, oh man, and everybody knows me and everybody knows I'm righteous and I do good things, then people will be like, that guy's a Muslim, he does good things. So they will see that. But if you live in a big city, it's impossible, at least in my case. Giving down, actually sowing a seed into them, they will grow when time comes. Yep, yep, I agree. Those are difficult things to do. Online dawa is a good way to do it as well. I think the original scientific rotation of the first world countries absolute right planning system as a rational looking at the cosmological beginning of the universe. Um, yeah, the thing is, hmm, so that's true. However, once you establish that there is a law, or there is something beyond, something that caused the universe to expand, and which is uncaused, the problem is then, once you lay out the attributes, the problem is going forward, because then you need revelation. Why does God do? Why is there evil? Why does God allow evil? Well, it's gonna be a problem to discuss. why? Why? What happens when you die? Why do we have to die? Why is there evil in this world? Like, I want to know what's why are there many religions? Why is it not simple? Why is there so many of them? Like, did God make a mistake? Like, what? Why? All these questions. Why? And then more questions. Why do women have to cover? What about ISIS? What about Sharia law? Why do they say you can stone someone to death? Like, all these things. And like, once you figure out simple thing, like, okay, I now understand what happens when I die. Then you get hit with Sharia law. Then you get hit with what happened. You shouldn't listen to music. What? And then you get hit with some, and it just goes and goes and never stops, right? So until you get to some level, but it's a lot of learning where they can leave, because there's a lot of conflict with their own values in this process. Um and that those things can be justified through revelation only. So you cannot use logic or rational arguments to justify hijab. You can use some statistics or see benefits of why we don't eat pig, or why, I don't know, I don't drink alcohol. It's pretty simple to explain. But to the reason why I don't do it is not logical. The reason why I do it is because Allah said so. So I'm not doing it because it harms me, but it's clearly forbidden. And so, because I acknowledge Allah, I did it. So this intellectual pursuit is to get you there. And then from there, you just need to submit. That's why it's called Islam. You need to submit, because whatever you think is not true. Whatever you think, it's just your subjective thing. Like, you don't know actually what's true. And so that's it. That's pretty difficult to do. Mm, I yeah, I have their materials. I'm in touch with them. So Ira is doing great job. Of course, like the thing is like you need to do. The thing is, it's not really mapped out, even in Ira. It is mapped out, but I'm doing it even on a deeper level. So we'll see. Shia law stoning is like river sexual ocean is Tawheed. People really don't put their focus on. Yeah, I know, but that's what it is. That's what people want to focus on. So you need to be, but however, you can't ignore that. Like you need to be able to answer why is there slavery in Islam? Why did Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, marry a 6-year-old? Like, how is this possible? And these are not things to be afraid of. To like, you need to be able to answer these things. If you are not, it will waver your iman. It will impact your belief system. So you need to really study a lot of things about the Arab culture. How did they get married in that time? What actually happened? Is this based on authentic hadiths and stuff? It's a lot of work. So that's the deal with Islam. Like there's a lot of research. Only a few people can go through it. Many people they just accept Islam maybe, but then they realize, oh, there's so many things I have to research because I don't know what I actually believe in. And so you just have to do the research. So, anyways, I think it's 50 minutes. So I'm gonna go for a quick jog before the sunrise. No, the other thing, sunset. And so thank you for catching up with me. And then let's do another live stream soon. And again, if you're from Malaysia, if you live in Malaysia, let me know where should I go live for 3 months from January to April. Inshallah, I shall be there, living near sea somewhere where it's nice, where I can practice Islam, but also get some good food. So let me know where in Malaysia can I stay, which city, which sort of location is cool. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. Assalamu alaikum. And yeah, um, I hope we can do more live streams, and then I hope I'll produce more content. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll catch up next week then. So, Jazakallah khair for listening to me, and I'll see you next week, inshallah.